You know what is wild? Most corporate professionals are unknowingly training themselves to stay broke. I don't mean broke as in no money in the bank. I mean broke as in capped, limited, and replaceable. See, you are good at what you do, really good. You've got skills that took you years to develop. You've got good judgment that companies literally pay six figures for. But here's the problem: you're thinking like an employee when the market is paying for consultants. And that one shift in thinking, that's the difference between being paid for your time and being paid for your value. So I'm going to show you the 8 massive differences between employee thinking and consultant thinking. And if you're a knowledge professional who has ever thought there is got to be more than just this, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to see your career completely differently. Now, before I jump into it, let me give you a quick story. Back in 2020, when COVID hit, I was doing or training workshops physically. It was good work, meaningful work. But then when lockdown happened, guess what? I had to figure out how to take what I was doing offline and move it online. That was the task. I didn't know how. So I did what most people do. I invested in coaching, I invested in mentorships, I invested in learning. And here's what I discovered from those investments. The reason I wasn't making money the way I deserve wasn't because I lacked expertise. It was because I was still thinking like someone who worked in a business instead of someone who built a business. The two are very different. So I was thinking like an employee, not a consultant. And so once I made that shift, everything changed for me as a person. So within 3 years, I built an online community, one with 1,500 coaches, another one with over 30,000 members across Africa, which was in personal finance. We also co-founded a telemedicine company that's now operating in 4 countries. And I came back full-time to my calling, which is helping corporate professionals like you turn what they already know into profitable consulting offers. So I'm not speaking theory here. I'm speaking from the trenches. I'm speaking from over 12 years of trying to understand and build something. So if you agree with me, let's get into it and see the difference. So what's the difference between employee thinking and consultant thinking? Number one is employee get paid for time, consultant get paid for outcomes. So this is the foundational shift. Everything flows from here. If you don't get that number one, nothing is going to move. When you show up to your corporate job, what are you trading? It's your time. Maybe 40 hours, maybe 60 hours a week. You are on the clock. You are in meetings. You are responding to emails at say 9 p.m. And no matter how good you are, you hit a ceiling. You hit a ceiling because time is finite. Right? But when you shift to consultant thinking, you stop selling your time and you start selling transformation. Let me give a very good example. Let's say that you're a project manager. So as an employee, you manage projects for your company. You get paid a salary, maybe it could be $60,000, $80,000 per year, which is not bad. But if you flip that same skill set and package it into a consulting offer, let's call it maybe the 90-day project rescue system for tech startups. Now, you are not selling hours. You are now selling the outcome. You are selling the result of getting a stalled project back on track, delivered on time, delivered on budget. Instead of getting now $80,000 per annually, you are maybe making $5,000, $10,000 per project. You see, same skill, different thinking. So I guess you see that shift. Employees trade time, consultants deliver outcomes. So employees think in time, consultants thinking in outcome. And so people pay more for outcomes than they'll ever pay for time, because when you mention time, begin questioning, you mean I pay you $3,000 per hour? But when you're talking about outcome for $30,000, if that is going to give them $300,000, they don't think twice. So let's see the second difference. The second difference, number two, Employees follow system, consultants build systems. Again, this should be obvious, but here's the thing about corporate life. You are brilliant at executing. You follow processes. You implement strategies. You get things done. But whose system are you following? That's the question. It's the company system. But consultants think, the consultant thinking says, what if I build the system? Now, I'm not saying you quit your job tomorrow, but I'm saying the skills you use every day to execute someone else's vision, the same skill can be repackaged as your proprietary system. So think about it. You've solved the same problem 50 times at work. You have a method, you have a shortcut, you know what works and what does not work. That itself is a system. Now, what do you need to do? You need to name it, you need to structure it, you need to package it, and that's what we call your offer. Have an offer. I call this the employee to consultant translation process. It is one of the core frameworks I teach in my two-phase offer builder for busy professionals. Because here's the truth. Most people don't just pay for information. They pay for proven processes. They pay for systems that de-risk their decisions. So you already have the raw material. You just need to see it differently. So employee follow systems, consultants build them. And so when you build a system, you control the value. That is the powerful thing. You control the value. Let's jump to difference number 3. Employees think in roles. Consultants think in offers. This again is huge. When someone asks you, what do you do? Now, what do you say? I'm a marketing manager. I'm a financial analyst. I am a professional lead. You see? So the employee thinking, you define yourself with a role. But consultant thinking, you define yourself with an offer. Let me show you the difference. So employee, I am an analyst. I'm a financial analyst. That's an employee. A consultant, I help tech startups build financial models that attract Series A investors. You look at that. Employee will say, I'm an HR manager. A consultant, I design onboarding systems that reduce employee turnover by 40% in the first 90 days. You see that? You see how the second one positions you completely different. It is specific. It is outcome focused. It is magnetic. And so here's what's wild. When you start thinking in offers instead of roles, you stop being a commodity. You become the only solution for a specific type of person with a specific problem. So that's positioning. And positioning is everything, because in a world right now where everyone is shouting, pick me, pick me, pick me, the consultant says, I solve this specific problem for this specific person. And I tell you, he wins all the time. Why? You are not for everyone. And that's the point. Employees think in roles, and anybody can think in that role. Consultants think in offers, and offers is what command premium pricing. I hope you get it. Now, here's where it gets really, really interesting, because there are 5 more massive differences we need to cover. And the next one is the one that I think trips up even the smartest corporate professionals. So what am I saying? Stay with me. All right, so difference number 4. This is a huge one. Employees worry about credentials. Consultants bank on results. Oh, this is huge. Let me ask you something. How many times have you thought, I'm not ready, or I need one more certification, or who am I to charge this? That kind of mindset. That's employee thinking coming in. Because in the corporate world, credentials matter. I understand. You need the degree. You need the title. You need the 10 years of experience. But in consulting, no one cares about your resume. That's the truth. They care about one thing. Can you get them the result they want? I was having a meeting just yesterday with one of my, I was onboarding this client, and this is what am I getting? So when I first started coaching, I thought I needed to be the most credentialized person in the room. I thought I needed every certification, every credential, every stamp of approval. But you know who my clients ended up being? They weren't looking for the most qualified, they were looking for the most relatable. The most relatable. They wanted someone who had recently walked the path they were on, someone who understood their struggle because they had solved it themselves. That is who they were looking for. So you don't need to be the top expert. You just need to be a few steps ahead. That is it. And in most cases, that's the best place. Because here's what people are really buying. They are buying confidence. They are buying certainty. They are buying a proven path. And if you've solved the problem once, you've solved the problem twice, you've solved the problem maybe 10 times, you've got proof. That's all they need. That's what the market needs. So employees worry about credentials, consultants bank on results, and results are what people pay for. People don't pay for credentials, they pay for results. Difference number 5. Employees wait for approval. Consultants give themselves permission. This might sound simple, but this is huge. This one is going to sting a little. In corporate, you wait for approval. You wait for your manager to sign off. You wait for the budget approval. You wait for the committee to decide. And over time, you get trained to wait. You get trained to ask permission. You get trained that there's somebody who has to tell you go. But consultant thinking says, I don't need permission, I need clarity. You don't need your boss to approve your offer. You don't need anyone to validate your expertise. You just need to decide. Yes, make a decision. And I'm going to tell you something. Myron Golden says something that changed my life forever. You will never be able to sell until you stop wanting them to buy. This is huge. So let me say it again. You'll never be able to sell until you stop wanting them to buy. Because when you're desperate for approval, when you're desperate for the sale, you rake it up. And people can feel it, and it repels them. So, but when you give yourself permission to show up as an expert, when you know the value you bring on the table, when you're not attached to whether they say yes or whether they say no, that's when you become magnetic. So employees wait for approval. Consultants give them permission, and permission is the first step to freedom. Permission is the first step to freedom. So let's jump to the next difference. Difference number 6. Already, employees think audience first. Consultants think offer first. Again, the two are different. So, because here's the mistake, and I see this all the time. Corporate professionals come to me and say, Richard, I need to build an audience fast. I need 1,000 followers. I need 10,000 followers before I can sell anything. Because they think the audience gives them a validation. Wrong. The biggest lie online business has ever sold, I think this is the one big one, that you need an audience. Listen to me, you don't need an audience to make money. You need an offer. Think about it. When you go to work, does your company need 1 million customers to be profitable? Think with me. No. They need a few good clients, a few good contracts, a few good accounts. They don't say, we need 1 million people in. So it's the same thing with consulting. You don't need a stadium full of people. You need 5 who have the problem you solve and are ready to invest in. Have conversations with them. That's it. And so I've seen people with 50 followers are making $20,000 in a month because they had a clear offer and they reached out to the right people. And I've seen people with, I had someone had 3 million followers, couldn't even pay rent. So followers make nothing because you see, if you don't have an offer, if you don't have strong offers, then those followers are useless. So your offer comes first. Your audience grows because of your offer, not the other way around. Employees think in audience. And I think they got that thinking maybe from influencers, that now influencers influence them from who they are. Influencers point to themselves, but consultants point to the offer. That's the big difference. So that way consultants think offer first. Offers are what convert strangers into clients. Let's jump to difference number 7 already. Employees fear failure. Consultants expect interaction. This is huge. Let's talk about failure for a second. Because in the corporate, failure is expensive. Mess up a project, that is your performance review. Oh, fail the targets, that is your bonus gone. So failure in the corporate feels permanent. It feels painful. You get it. So when you learn to play it safe, you learn to avoid risk. You learn to stay in your lane. But consultant thinking says failure is feedback. I remember when I launched my first online community, it wasn't perfect. When I created my first offer, oh, it needed refining. When I ran my first webinar, oh, I stumbled throughout. You could see word by word and trying to read from paper. But you know what happened? I got better. So every iteration taught me something. Every piece of feedback made the next version better, made the next version stronger. And here's the thing, your first offer doesn't have to be your best offer. It just has to be your first offer. So I don't know where you're starting. Maybe $200, gather testimonials, refine the process, then go to 500, then go to 1,000, then go to 2,000, then go to 10. So each time you're iterating, you're improving, you are learning. So, but you can't iterate on something that doesn't exist. So employees fear failure, consultants expect iteration. And so iteration is how you go from good to great. So you need an offer for you to even iterate with. All right, so difference number 8. Employees build resumes. Yes, consultants build leverage. The two are different. When an employee is thinking, you think this will go to my CV. Consultants looking, I'll use this as leverage. So this final difference, this is the biggest one. I kept the biggest for you. Everything you do in the corporate goes on your what? Your CV. Every project, every promotion, every achievement, it's a record of your time. But consultant thinking says, I'm not building a resume. I am building leverage. Leverage means your skills work for you even when you're not working. So leverage means you create an offer once and sell it 100 times. Leverage means you're not trading hours for dollars. You're trading value for dollars. The two are very different. And that's the whole point of this shift that I'm making. So, because at the end of the day, you didn't spend years developing expertise just to be kept by a salary ceiling. You didn't become a knowledge professional just to be replaceable. You became an expert because you care about impact. You care about transformation. You care about making a difference. And so consulting, when done right, lets you do all of that while building the financial freedom and professional dignity that you deserve. Employees build resume, consultants build leverage. And leverage, guess what? Is what creates wealth. Your CV is nothing. So here's my challenge to you. If you've been thinking like an employee, start thinking like a consultant. Not next year, not next month, not when you're ready, now, because the world doesn't need more employees. The world needs more people who are willing to take what they know and package it into offers that solve real problems for real people. You already have the skills. You already have the expertise. You just need the framework to turn it into a profitable offer. And if you want help with that, I have created something specifically for knowledge professionals like you. It's called my two-phase offer builder for busy professionals. It's designed to help you take your corporate skills and turn them into a clear, compelling, profitable consulting offer without quitting your job and without spending hours creating content. So I've dropped the link in the description. If it resonates with you, check it out. But whether you work with me or not, I want you to remember this. You are not kept. Nobody has kept you. You are not replaceable. You are not limited to a salary ceiling. You are a knowledge professional. And when you start thinking like a consultant, you unlock a level of freedom, income, and impact that most people never even know is possible. So again, thanks for watching. If this added value, hit that like button. And then subscribe if you haven't already. And by the way, drop a comment below. I want to read every single comment so that I personally will respond to you. Thank you and see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.